Is this a drug story or a poverty story or a social services story or possibly all of the above? Yes, we head now to Maraenui, Napier's poorest suburb. RNZ's Hawke's Bay reporter Anusha Bradley began work on a story about the availability and use of synthetics in the community. At least 5 shops in Maraenui sell the drug, which has taken hold of the community of 3,000 people. Police are trying to stamp down on it, but even if they can control supply, they can't stop the demand. And that makes this a story about why some communities use drugs like this so much more than others and feel the toll of them so much harder. Here is Anusha Bradley.
Hoki Ward grew up in Maraenui wanting to be a mobster. He probably would have ended up being one if it weren't for a chance meeting with a Māori policeman when he was about 10. He's now a community constable, and his sole mission is to stamp out synthetics in his old hood.
Well, I think it's an epidemic, to be honest.
Driving around in his patrol car, Hoki explains how synthetics have taken over the community.
Around here, everyone's using it. It's like drinking or cigarettes. And so you're looking at all sorts of ages groups as well, right up to the koros, the nannies, who are supposed to be the ones that will be the wise ones that are supposed to look after your family unit, to your parents, to the young parents, to the kids.
This is personal for Hoki. His cousin's death is linked to the drug.
She was a heavy synthetic user, and she passed away basically because of the synthetics that she was using heightens her own health issues. So she had a few health issues with her heart and bits and pieces, and that's just tenfolded it. I've also got family members that are addicted to synthetics currently. So I think this is where I suppose I get quite passionate about it because of that. I'm not only just doing it because it's affecting my community and my job, but I'm also getting affected by it personally.
Hoki Ward says many locals got hooked on synthetics when it was legal in the early 2000s. When it was banned in 2014, they just made their own. Consumption has increased sharply in the last couple of years as rising unemployment, poverty and the loss of nearly 100 state homes left many in a desperate way. One user we've agreed to call Leilani is struggling to give up the drug, even though it's cost her 2 children.
One of the reasons why I turn to synthetics is it makes me feel better because every time I look at my kids, I can't put a bread and butter on the table for them.
The police say all synthetics in Hawke's Bay are coming from Maraenui, and the mongrel mob, which forms a major part of this community, has a hand in its trade by taking a cut of the sales. The gang won't comment publicly on the claim, but sources close to the mob deny they're involved. There are several synthetic shops in the suburb, and locals say some of them have been operating for years. Residents don't understand why the police don't just shut them down. The head of Hawke's Bay CIB, Detective Senior Sergeant Brent Greville, says even if they do shut them down, another just pops up, and he says it's often difficult to close them in the first place.
And for instance, I'm aware of one particular address that we've been back there at least 4 times in the last couple of years on different occasions trying to close them down and have been sometimes successful in locating product. But with any search warrant that we do, it's sometimes timing is a big thing, and we sometimes get results, sometimes we don't.
The police have made 41 seizures of synthetic cannabis from Maraenui over the last 18 months, but all small amounts. Brent Greville says methamphetamine is a much bigger problem for the police in Hawke's Bay as a whole, but he says the police are doing what they can to tackle synthetics in Maraenui.
We're never going to be able to arrest our way out of these situations for the community's sake. You know, there's a number of options that we can take, and one of them is just enforcement. We're just one, I guess, way of trying to help this problem, because without the customer base here, this problem wouldn't exist. So I guess it's up the community not acceptance of it would hopefully decrease that that customer base in time.
But demand for synthetics in Maraenui is huge. Hoki Ward says that's because it's cheap and easy to make, and the punishment if you're caught is small.
You're better to sell synthetics than cannabis because you're not going to get anywhere near the penalty as you would if you were to sell cannabis.
A bill before Parliament is seeking to increase the maximum imprisonment for making and selling synthetics from 2 to 8 years. even though the government says the police advise that harsher penalties won't work. Hoki Ward says the Maraenui community also needs to step up.
They talk about us doing our job, do your job, all that sort of stuff. For us to do our job, the community needs to get involved, because at the end of the day, it's the community that's killing the community.
The coroner is investigating at least 3 deaths in Maraenui linked to synthetics, including the death of a 55-year-old man 2 weeks ago. 3 men charged with possession and supply of synthetic material following a raid on 4 properties a few days before his death will appear in Napier District Court this week. In Napier for Checkpoint, Anusha Bradley.